Hey, we're live. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live. We're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. I can't speak, but that's okay. Make sure you go find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. We're everywhere. Go like us, go share, go thumbs up, go send stars, send smiley faces, do all these things to make us happy because we said so.
We don't ask for much.
We really don't. But if you do all that, then eventually free stuff comes to you. Free stuff to you.
Exactly. We gave a bunch of free stuff away today.
Oh my gosh, and I am so happy. We got rid of like 3 or 4 boxes of stuff.
We got rid of 7 boxes.
Oh, okay.
Worth of stuff.
Whoo, you had to have been there at AllCon because that's where it happened today.
That's
so great. So great. Oh, I need to turn Godzilla on. Goodness. Poor Godzilla, baby. Man. Godzilla, baby. Okay, so as always, we are here with the latest in movie reviews and news from Gary Gnu.
That's right.
And people probably don't even remember who Gary Gnu is. It's like, I'm old.
Good news from Gary Gnu.
Correct. All right, so I am going to go share.
The return to AllCon. The triumphant
It was
return.
So fun. So much fun.
Superhero Sundays and giving away stuff, cleaning out our house.
Superhero Sunday.
Adventures in babysitting.
Oh, goodness.
All sorts of things.
Everything.
Where do you want to start today?
Well, this is a good question.
Do you want to start with our AllCon recap, or do you want to dive into the movies?
I don't even know what this thing just did. I tried to share, and it share to my story? What do I do? But is it sharing as me?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't either. Okay.
I just know, are we online? Yes, we are. So my hair is jacked up. I didn't even comb my hair after the show when I got home.
Well,
all messed up
that's
already.
You.
I know.
All right. Where do we start, you said? Well, let's find out.
You're over there doing other things.
We have a plethora.
Do you want to start there, or do you want to start with the AllCon recap?
We can start with AllCon.
Okay.
While people are getting caught up.
So, as everybody knows, we've been in a pandemic.
What?
I know. And at the beginning of the pandemic was March of last year, 2020. And I was literally sitting on a Thursday at my table at AllCon.
You were at AllCon.
I was at AllCon, and the news had started coming out that things were getting worse. There was being fear of a shutdown, and mass hysteria was starting to happen. Oh. And so I packed up for the day to go teach class.
Oh.
And then by the time I got home, I had a message that said AllCon has officially been shut down. The mandate of the city had shut down all events. So I had to go back in the morning on Friday, and I only had to like noon pick up all my crap. So I had to get up, haul ass out there, pick all of our stuff. So here we are. We got to this year. March, they still weren't ready to be able to let us have the show yet. So we didn't have an AllCon at the beginning of this year either. So that would have been 2 years without AllCon. But AllCon stepped up and said, you know what? Let's do a little quick makeup event. We're going to be at a new hotel, which normally is a bad idea because every time they've changed hotels, it sucked. But sadly, the Crown Plaza, which had been our home for years and years and years, shut down during COVID.
They are no more.
They don't exist, so we don't even have the option. Usually we go to a new hotel.
I'm sure the building exists and we could run out.
Well, I said we should just gone in there and had AllCon with or without them. But normally they'd have AllCon somewhere else. We'd all complain, like, this hotel sucks. We want the Crown Plaza back. And then inevitably we'd all move back to Crown Plaza. That's not even an option anymore. Right. But I will say the new hotel is actually pretty cool.
It is pretty. I like that big lobby bar area because there's much more seating. There's different style seatings and there's areas. Because in the other hotel bar, it was like this. So everybody would sit there. It's like, I want a snack, I want a drink. But you were there.
Yeah, you
were. So that was not a COVID-friendly place.
No. And the other one, the AllCon stuff was upstairs. Mm-hmm. Now it's downstairs. You can come in and walk around, and you don't actually have to go into the show, which is kind of cool. The other one, you want to be a part of anything, you had to come upstairs and go through everything.
Yeah, and walk around.
So now it's kind of...
It's all kind of... It's together, but more spread out.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
But it's a nicer hotel as well.
It is nice.
And so we made our triumphant return. I set up as my normal artist table for the first time, or maybe the second time. I think it was one other time. But we're in the dealer room this time instead of just the artist alley. Yeah. So Friday, Saturday, it wasn't near as busy as AllCon usually is, but that was kind of expected because coming out of COVID, there's still a lot of people concerned But Friday was kind of dead, but there was traffic. But you didn't get to go Friday because you were working. But it was pretty slow in comparison to usual.
I know, man.
But they did say they sold out the hotel,
which is great.
So that means there was a lot of people there. So yesterday was the big day, which Saturday's always the busiest anyway, even on normal days times. And it stayed pretty busy. You weren't able to go until the evening.
Correct.
Because you were doing what?
I was babysitting, and OMG, there was poop.
She was playing the Grammy.
It was not okay. I'm just telling you.
I've been hearing about this poop situation for 2 days.
It was epic. Well, you got to understand, this is the first person I've ever changed diapers for. I've made it through my entire life never having to change a diaper until now with this kid. So she better love me. I mean,
did you
so
ever
far,
change any of my kids' diapers?
I did not.
Because I know when
Daniel was in diapers.
Well, by the time we were actually in a relationship,
correct,
they were out of
diapers by that point.
I knew Daniel was in diapers,
pee,
but that was
pee and throw up.
That was way before we started dating.
Correct. And every time, like when one of the kids was sick and they were running to the bathroom, they made it like right in front of the toilet, but never in the toilet.
Mm.
That's what I got.
Ah, gotcha.
Which is fine. But
is that fine?
Well, it's better than being completely pooped on like yesterday, because that happened.
Yeah, so she got stuck with the babysitting.
No, I didn't get stuck with. I volunteered. So it was like all Connor baby. All Connor baby. And I chose baby.
To be honest, there was two choices there. One, she loves spending time with the baby.
I do.
Two, it made it easier to not have to lock up our dog for all day long.
Yeah, that I don't like, having to leave the dogs alone all day long.
Yeah, we have one of our dogs that you'll see fairly often. Excuse me, to be the newer one. She can't be trusted by herself. She has separation anxiety, so while
she's a chewer.
Yeah, when you're home, she's perfectly well behaved outside of some barking and jumping. But when she's by herself, she tears things up.
She gets anxious and she starts chewing up everything.
So we have one dog that doesn't have to be put away, and we have one dog that does, and we don't like having to leave her locked up, and we don't like having to leave them by themselves. So it worked out better that way.
Yeah,
so you came out in the evening, we hung out. Saturday was pretty straightforward. You may realize there's a major award right here. So there's a funny story behind this. Is my partner in crime, Scott, who we met conventions years. It's been over 10 years now, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. He's a very close friend. He lives in Arkansas, so we don't see each other on a regular basis. We don't even talk all the time. Like we talk via Facebook and every so often on the phone, but it's not like one of these things where we're just calling each other all the time. You know, it's just we're dudes. We don't do that. But he comes in for different conventions. We've met at Celebration and we've done different stuff. And then if we're at a convention together, we're attached to the hip the entire weekend. That's just how it works.
They are. They are indeed.
So Scott came in. We had a return to Alcon together, and he'd been nagging me, I guess, originally for last year.
Yeah, because this says
for this Star Wars Duos thing. That's why it says 2020. Everything they did this year, they used all the stuff that was supposed to be for last year instead of spending money because it was already paid for.
I would have to.
So it became a running joke that everybody won last year. This year. But it was this game show called Star Wars Duos, which was basically like the newlywed game. And he kept nagging me to do it. And I'm like, I never agreed to do it. But he had started, I guess, last year talking to me. I forgot all about it. Went back and forth. And so then he comes to my table and we're hanging out and they bring us the application. We know the guy running it. He's like, I need y'all there. I'm like, well, let me see because I'm running my table. She's not here to watch the table. I don't know what I can do. And so he just starts filling it out. And he's questioning me because you had to fill out all the stuff like, you didn't see all this. You had to fill out like how long you've been collecting and then like your kind of a resume of who you are. So
like to make sure you were an actual Star Wars fan?
Not that you make sure, but as they introduce you.
Oh.
Try, I guess, to show your credibility of Star Wars fandom. You know, and like we call ourselves like the scruffy looking nerf herders. That was the name of our team.
Oh my gosh. Y'all are.
We were. And then like he put something like we had mastered something and it was a Star Trek Spock thing because we're those guys. And then like on our things, it had on there that, you know, I ran the Hollywood Matrimony. It said that I'd done security for Chewbacca, Peter Mayhew. Which is true. That was part of the 501st. I was a sketch card artist for Star Wars. Had on my list that had his list of Yak's Pub and yakface.com and all those things he's done. So we get there. So hold on. When he leaves to go, he's also a member of the 501st. He leaves to go get his 501st shirt, right? I still haven't agreed to this thing. I'm still sitting
he's signing you up.
Yeah, he's already like, we're doing this. And I'm like, I don't know if I can leave the table. While he's gone, a young lady and her family come and purchase a commission. So now I'm legitimately working. It's not just me not wanting to do it. I'm being paid. And I'm like, are y'all going to be here all weekend? Because then I know I have time to work on it. And they're like, no, we're only be here for today for just a little while longer. And I'm like, ah, crap. So he comes back, and I'm like, I got some bad news. He goes, what? He's all mad. It was funny. I'm like, well, I have a legit commission I need to do. And he's like, what? No. He started to offer to pay me for the commission and just telling them forget it so I could go. So we didn't even know how many people signed up. And I finally, just to get him to try to calm him down a little bit, because he was swarming down we could win. I said, just go see if there's anybody even else signed up. If nobody else is signed up and we automatically win, I'll run over there, we'll get the stuff, we'll come back. I said, if there's a big ton group of people, we don't need to worry about it. So he goes, keep your phone on you. I'm like, my phone is in front of me as a reference. I'm like, of course. So then he calls me he's on the panel with all the other people. And he calls me and he's like, you need to get down here. We can beat these people. And he's like, so I'm finally like, ugh. So I actually took the card, my pencil, and my eraser and went and sat on the panel during this game show drawing this commission for this person. So I'm drawing, ignoring everything that's going on in this game until it's our turn. Then I put it down, I'm like,
you're funny.
And it's not returning him, back to drawing. I realized I forgot my pen to ink it. So at one point they sent me out, so they asked him the questions. So I ran to get my pen and come back. So anyway, needless to say, we go back and forth. We were tied for first place. Then it came down to, tiebreaker, first question wins. And it went into like 4 more questions. It was like, they got one right, we got one right. They got one wrong, and it came to us. We nailed it. We're now the 2020 champs. And then I'm like, now can I go back and finish what I'm doing? And what was awesome is when I went to get my pen, the people I were doing the card for saw me wandering around the hallway. So I stopped them. I said, hey, I got dragged into this thing. Do you like this card? I showed them the pencil drawing. I just finished it. Oh, it's awesome. So I'm getting my pen. They came in and watched the show. So they saw me up in front of the show working on their work.
So ridiculous.
So then I rushed back to the table. I colored the whole thing, got it sold, won the championship. We're now champions, and I got paid. And then we rubbed it in other people's face all night.
Yeah, that y'all were Star Wars nerds, basically.
Yes.
You're the nerdiest of the Star Wars nerds.
Yeah, so I sent her the picture, wasn't there, and I'm like, look, dear, we won this. And she goes, oh, awesome. Y'all are nerds.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's why we won.
Good for you. You won for being a nerd.
The most embarrassing, frustrating part of that thing is we would have easily won had there was one question that we knew the answer to and for the life of us could not remember. And it was one part of the show they showed a picture of a character with the character's name and you had to see who the actor was. And we're churning them out, right? And then it showed John Ratzenberger from Cheers, who's in Return of the Jedi. The problem with that, neither one of us could remember his name. We have like this big celebration story interaction with him and made it worse because we waited in line the wrong day for him for like 30 minutes at one point. Realized it was the wrong day. We went back, waited in line for a couple hours for his autograph. I got up there, talked to him, he saw my tattoos. He started talking to me about jiu-jitsu. Which I'm like,
wow.
I want to talk to John Ratzenberger jiu-jitsu.
Hey.
And then he got up there and Scott he's a teacher. He had a science magazine that had a picture of John Ratzenberger posing. It was one of those kind of like the guy from Shang-Chi that had all those computer photos.
Yeah.
Those just ones they shoot and they
Stock
put them in random.
photos, yeah.
And he was like, oh, sweet. So we had these whole stories about it. We were like telling me, like, we know who he's in. He was on Cheers. He's in every Pixar movie. We have all these. Couldn't remember his name until it came on the screen. We were pissed. But anyway, it didn't hold us. We still won.
You won.
So then we hung out all night. You're a winner. You got to do some crafts.
I did some arts and crafts, which I always like to go to the craft room. I know it's the most ridiculous thing to do as an adult, but it's actually fun, and lots of fun things happen. There was one that we were supposed to be making some sort of bracelet, and there was no way you're going to get 2 strings through 1 bead without there being some sort of a needle involved. So that was very upsetting. So instead, I made some sort of weird keychain thing.
It looked like a noose. That's what you made.
I don't know. That's what you're supposed to do. Anyhow, that happened.
I drew a picture of SpongeBob and Garfield, and I gave it to some random people.
I know. They were happy.
Yeah, the kids were very excited.
That's nice.
She got all mad because at certain times they're supposed to change the craft.
At 9 o'clock, somebody was supposed to be there for the next craft. They didn't show up till 9:20.
And she's
like, "Oh, I lost track of time." I'm like, I've been waiting.
This is a room for children. This isn't for us.
It doesn't matter. I was waiting.
And you know what she waited for? To make one of those little foam.
Oh, I love
ornaments.
those.
That's what she waited on.
It was a Christmas owl. It was an owl wearing a Christmas sweater.
Then she was upset because it had glitter.
Oh my gosh! So I was touching it like this, and then I left it there because I wasn't gonna bring the other home. That goes everywhere. And then I had to go wash my hands. It was a whole ordeal, but it was super cute. Anyways, then today is the best day because it's Superhero Sunday.
Yeah, no, there was a karaoke situation.
Oh, last night.
We had friends
before we
get
get
to karaoke. Today. You ended up leaving before that.
I did.
I decided.
It just seemed like it was gonna be.
You're good job you leaving.
No. Okay.
I stayed for a little bit because I wanted to see my friends were going to perform Humpty Dance because they said the night before it was the widest choices of music. So they wanted to mix it up a little bit. So it was gonna be Scott, my partner in crime for this, another guy, and then Mike. What was his name? Right? Mm-hmm. He was gonna be their backup dancer. Of course, Mike told me that they think I'm going to be back there for this. I'm going to be back there like this. Right?
He ain't going to do the Humpty Dance?
I was teaching him how to do the Humpty Dance. I pulled up the video and showing him. Me and Scott were kind of practicing. Then when I showed him the you have to do the crisscross feet. And they were both like, yeah, we're not doing that. We won't be able to get up. So it was funny. So we waited and waited. And
I know how you know.
My issue was the first song. They were like number 5. I never got to see their performance because I finally bolted. It got to be late. And the first people up there was a group of 4 doing Bohemian Rhapsody. And they were screaming. They were trying to sing, but they were screaming into the microphone. The feedback of the microphone was not good. It just sounded awful. And then instead of letting people keep going, they stopped the entire event to sign people up and started playing just music. So everybody's just standing around. And I'm like, they started playing the theme song from What We Do in the Shadows, which was awesome. I love the show. And there was 3 people cosplaying them. They started running around the room and doing stuff, which was entertaining. But if you didn't know what that was, it's like, what's happening right now? And so I finally bolted. But another guy that I know, who I give him full credit, he gets into costume and he stays in that character the entire time he's in costume. Sometimes a little bit too long, but he does it. He got up and did an entire rendition of I Got Friends in Low Places as Hodor from Game of Thrones. And if you know Game of Thrones, Hodor says nothing but Hodor. He did that as Hodor in character, using nothing but the word Hodor, singing that entire song. And Scott's like, you could definitely tell what song it was, and he committed to the entire thing.
Okay.
They said they did do their performance. They said the crowd was dead.
Yeah, he said they didn't get it.
Yeah, he said they were planning to do a set. They were going to do Right Said Fred, I'm Too Sexy next. Mm-hmm. But he said the crowd was so dead, they were like, forget it.
They didn't get their sense of humor.
Yeah, so... Right. Anyway, so then today, go ahead.
Superhero Sunday, which is the most important day, because we host Superhero Sunday every year. Thank you, Hollywood Matrimony. And that's the time when you come to get all the free stuff. So today was free stuff day anyway at the table. We had movie posters, T-shirts, a bunch of swag and different things just everywhere. And I think we gave away most of it.
We did. We went to a good home. We've been collecting stuff for years. And usually after a show, we have like 4 or 5 posters here and there. So we've been throwing them in boxes and taking them to another show. We've had shows where people didn't take stuff. We bring it back home. So last night, like 12 something at night, I'm in here trying to gather what we had, thinking we had a box of Blu-rays and DVDs that we always give out.
Yep.
But these were majority from last year. And
because we didn't give them away last year.
And then what I added to it this year, so it was a massive amount of stuff.
So many posters.
Yeah, and so when I started finally digging it out of this closet over here behind Jason, that's why he's here. He's guarding the goods. There was like 4 boxes of posters. There was 3 boxes of just T-shirts and water bottles and koozies and from movies that have been around for years. There were like
so much stuff
I didn't know we had. So we took all of it. And surprisingly, gave away almost all of it.
Yeah, we're very happy. So thank you for taking
we didn't give away, I assume everyone took because I left it. And I told them throw it in the trash.
Yeah, like we don't want it back. And then at the actual contest, we were doing a raffle so everybody could come up and pick movies and shows and stuff to take with them. And then we did our actual contest. And I will show you a picture of the winners. They were all very good in their costumes.
We had a good turnout this year. We had people acting really well. The microphone needed to be adjusted a little bit. It wasn't coming out very well, but
it's okay. I'll post a video of the actual event itself later. The sound on the video is good because the camera was close to the stage.
Yeah, awesome.
That came out good. So congratulations to our winners from Superhero Sunday.
So it was good. We had a good time.
It was a good time.
Got home.
Now I'm
we
tired.
are realizing I'm exhausted.
I've just had this sinus headache thing happening, so I just don't feel well anyway.
Well, I've been there.
You've been there.
I've been there for 3 days. So to give you context, yesterday I got there about a little before 10 a.m., maybe 10 a.m., and I didn't get home until almost midnight last night. And then today I was there at 10:15, 10:30, and got home at 4:30 or so, 4:15, maybe. And then Friday I was there I got there like 1 o'clock, and then got home at probably 9 or 10, I think it was, wasn't it? So, and that was an easy all-con.
That was very easy.
Yeah, it's usually an all-night affair. We've been there to 4 or 5 in the morning. We've been there staying at the hotel.
But like actively doing stuff.
Yeah, so we've realized that we
Mellow.
may be getting too old to be partying all this stuff and having to just bail.
But I'm thinking if we get a new group of people to hang out with, we can just hang out and people watch.
Well,
and
me and Scott were discussing too. We think the issue is also that the people, we used to have like a group of almost 10 people that all hung together. And it's down to really just, 5? Me, you, Scott, and then Michael and Sharon when they're there.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes Scott and Jesse, if they're around.
Yeah.
But the problem is not everybody comes every time. And we also figured out, we think there's a whole new crew of people coming to the show now. And we're the old people now.
Yeah.
You know, we've been going there. Did you know it's going to be year 18 next year?
It's crazy.
We went since day one,
Mm-hmm.
but we've been setting up there since year 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been setting up there for 17 years.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So, all right, let's move on to some movies.
Okay.
What you got first?
Well, what do you want to talk about?
pick some,
Here's
sister.
our movies. You want to just
I
go
think
that
most
way?
of this I saw without you.
Well, you want to start with that?
Yeah, let's talk about this.
Okay, this is good. This is appropriate for this time of year.
And so the first one is not a new movie, but it is a 4K release of a cult classic, a movie that was banned in a large amount of the world upon its release back in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And is?
I Spit on Your Grave.
Now, if you've never heard of I Spit on Your Grave,
Where have you been?
It is a horror film of sorts. This is not a scary movie. It's really more of a revenge film.
Mm-hmm.
It's filled with horrific things. It's not a scary film.
Correct.
Tell us what it's about.
So basically, it's about this young lady who is, beaten and brutalized, and she's raped and kind of left for dead by this group of men. But then, dun dun dun, she comes back to get them.
Yeah, so instead of being just a victim, when this is all about, like on the surface, this movie just feels like, oh my God, it's disgusting because this woman's beaten and raped, and it's hard to watch, especially if you've actually experienced those kind of things. But it's really about her rising back up and taking back her power and getting brutal, violent revenge on those that did her wrong. It's even on the catchphrase on the book says something like, this woman has cut, beaten, brutalized, whatever. These men in no court in the world would ever convict her, kind of thing.
Heck yeah. Okay, my favorite scene. There's a couple of favorite scenes. I like the one in the bathtub. There's a bathtub scene with a...
Which is so more intense than the remake.
Yeah.
Because they actually show it and cutting it off.
And then there was one where like some guy was in a woodshed and she does something to him. Or something. Anyways, there are some really good, I guess, kills, we would call it.
Yeah, the movie it's kind of an independent film when it was made. If you watch it now, you would probably be hard-pressed to figure out why it was banned anywhere. But you have to think about the context of when it came out.
So
it was pretty aggressive, pretty violent. It was like no holds barred kind of thing. We watched this documentary that's up on it that's really just an interview with the director.
Right.
And talking about all the distribution deals that he went through that got canceled, and then somebody else that was distributing it for a long time that they didn't even know about.
This is what, in 78?
Yeah, so it's one of those
it's
movies
in the 70s.
That's when I introduced it to you a few years ago.
Correct.
And I was telling you about it, you're like, what? So I wanted her to see this movie. I'm like, well, it's pretty cheesy because it's old. And it became a movie you love.
So good. I really like it. I mean, I don't like all the horribleness of it, but what I like is just the theme of the lady. Even though this thing happened to her, she didn't let it stop her. She came back and she's like, oh, heck no. I ain't going down like this.
It's not one of those like
today.
a man needs to save me.
No, she saves herself. She gets revenge on these guys, and I mean, there you go. So it's in a weird roundabout way, really about empowerment and standing up, and you know, I know it's a very kind of dark and brutal, bloody subject matter, but that's what I really liked about it.
Yeah.
And then it spawned some remakes and some sequels, and you know, there's just so much there now. But this is a very cool new release on 4K.
Yeah, there's a sequel called I Spit on Your Grave, Deja Vu, that is not very good.
But you still need to watch it.
It's actually made by the original director and the original Camille Keaton, who's the star of the movie. She does return. It is a direct sequel because it follows her character's daughter.
Correct.
And she has written a book about her experience and what she went through, and it's kind of like connected to get revenge on that kind of thing. But then there's also been a trilogy remake.
Right.
They remade the original, and then it spun off into a series of films. They're actually really good.
I Spit on Your Grave, I Spit on Your Grave 2, and then I Spit on Your Grave Vengeance.
It's 3. It still says Spit on Your Grave 3.
3.
What's funny is if you watch the remake is way more violent, brutal, and graphic in the best way possible. But
I like that.
You have to look at the context of when the movie came out.
Huh.
And it's one of those it's like these hearing the stories about Psycho and how people couldn't take showers and couldn't sleep, and you watch Psycho now and you're like, really? It's not that scary, but it's a time period.
I feel like my face is getting cut off. I'm gonna have to scoot.
Oh, people doing people a favor.
Hey.
So this new set has the 4K version, has the Blu-ray. It has some bonus features like the interview, all kinds of fun stuff with. So if you're a fan of it, this is a good set. The Ronin Flicks, who's putting this out, also has a set they put out, I think the end of last year. It's a deluxe, I don't remember if it's a DVD or Blu-ray set that's actually this movie on 4K, but it also has the sequel Deja Vu part of it. So it's even another great set you can get. And a little fun fact, if you don't know this, if you look at the cover of the box, you see this lady's buttocks. Mm-hmm. And that is not the actress from the movie, but none other than Demi Moore, who did a photo shoot for this thing before anybody knew who she was.
Correct.
And she has, in fact, confirmed it.
Good.
So it was an urban legend for years, and then finally.
But guess what? It's true.
Yep, it was Demi Moore's buttocks. If you'd like to see it. And what's crazy? I remember the first time going to video stores. I remember seeing this poster.
Really?
And being like, "What is that? Can you show that buttocks?" And I didn't say buttocks, but then I was like, I think it was my first foray. Cause I remember seeing it. I think it's the movie Bad Taste, Chud, and something else. There were like these different horror flick posters, and the old video stores used to hang those posters up above the things. Yeah. And I was just like, my whole world. I was like, what are these wonderful things? But I still didn't see that movie until years later.
Yes.
And I saw the movie.
That's probably a good thing.
Well, I saw the movie, but didn't see the poster then. I saw the movie with a friend, and I'm like, oh, crazy, you know. And then I remember finally seeing the poster. I'm like, holy crap, that's that movie. I didn't even realize it. I thought I Spit on Your Grave was something else. And I think when I saw it, it had the Day of the Woman thing on it, because that was the other title of the movie.
Yes, Day of the Woman.
Anyway, I Spit on Your Grave, the 4K edition is available now.
You need it.
Yes.
Okay, next. Where do you want to
go?
Yeah, let's just go there.
All right, so the next one I was super excited about. I'm a big fan of the Paranormal Activity franchise. I know not all of them are great. I am also not one of the people, when the first one came out, thought it was the greatest, scariest movie ever, like everybody was acting. Like, I remember going to see that, and people were talking about how it terrified them. Mm-hmm. They were freaked out in the theaters. And I'm like, finally, badass, scary movie. And I remember sitting through it going,
that's it? Really?
The movie was awesome, but where's the scary part? You know, it didn't do that for me. And needless to say, I still loved it. It kind of became an October thing where you had every October you started having a Saw movie and a Paranormal Activity movie. Mm-hmm. That was my Halloween movies every year for the longest time. So they finally ended the Paranormal Activity franchise, so we thought.
Yeah.
Much like Saw, we didn't get anything for quite a while.
Correct.
And then earlier this year, or maybe last year, I don't remember, they suddenly announced, hey, there's a new Paranormal Activity movie coming straight to Paramount Plus.
And we're like, what?
I was like, what? And it was called Paramount Plus. It's called Paranormal Activity Next of Kin.
This is a cool poster, by the way.
It is. And it's a You do not have to have seen any of the other films.
Oh, good. So I can watch this.
It's only
I haven't seen the others.
No, this one, and I think you would actually be able to watch this
because
one.
I think the first one was somewhat shaky camish.
Yeah, they're all
whatever.
shaky.
So
this one is
not good with that.
Pretty much connected in name alone. So it's kind of.
I need to stop eating.
It's kind of connected in name alone. It could have just been next to Kim. They could have done that, but it's kind of. It does have. It is the found footage film type of thing. Okay. But it is intertwined with some actual practical shooting because they do some aerial shots, which they could have played it up like a drone, but they don't really say that. And there's some other moments that might look over somebody's shoulder that is clearly not somebody filming that. It's like part of the scene. So it works a little bit better. And this is also a different direction. I'm trying not to spoil it. It's a different direction for this. Okay. So the basic premise is this young girl is making this documentary because a relative, something about her mom, right? I don't remember if she had never met her mom or she's trying to find her story about her mom or whatever it is. Yeah. Anyway, but her mom apparently had been on this Amish community.
Oh.
And so she meets this guy online. They reach out there in his Rumspringa or whatever it's called. Is that right? And they end up meeting up. He takes them and the little film crew back to their Amish place. And things are not as
this is seeming very my movie.
What, Midsommar? Mm-hmm. It is. Things are not as they seem.
Okay. Oh my gosh, there was someone dressed in a Midsommar costume at the thing today. I was so excited.
There's like 3 of them in a pad.
I know. The lady was like, "Okay." I think I was way too excited for her. Sorry, lady.
But so this one, it's a little slower pace than the previous ones.
Okay.
It takes a little while for things to happen, right? I will say this is not only the least shaky cam film I've ever seen in the genre.
Oh, good.
In my opinion.
So then I'm okay.
But it's also really well shot. It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel... and I think it's because they interwove actual shots of things only when necessary. They tried to stick to the found footage, but there's angles that they're like, there's no way you can explain this
found
away.
Footage that,
because sometimes in these movies they'll explain away like somebody's getting murdered and they still pick up their camera, and they try to play it away with sometimes like this is the only light they had, so they're still filming, which that kind of makes sense, but it gets old sometimes.
Yeah.
But this one goes in this crazy direction I didn't expect. It's a little slow as it builds up, but once it gets to the meat of it, it gets really good.
Good.
Yeah, I really dug this entry, and I'm hoping it's another one, and it does end setting up a bigger issue. Yeah.
Okay.
Which, unlike the other ones, they didn't really always set up stuff. It would you knew things were still kind of not okay.
Right.
But this one clearly set up. It could have ended never show it, and you just know wackiness is out in the world. But this one is exclusive to Paramount Plus only.
Okay.
So it's available now.
I'm going to have to go watch it because I've got Paramount Plus.
Well, we can watch it again. I'll watch it again.
Okay. I'm excited.
So it is available now. If you're a fan, check it out. If you've never seen the other one, don't worry about it. Watch this one and check it out.
All right. Next, tell me about this show you're watching.
I decided normally we don't talk about a lot of television, but because there's something else again, she didn't watch a lot of this stuff this week. She's been busy.
I know. What have I been doing?
You've had a lot of work stuff happening.
So sorry. There's a lot happening.
But I did want to talk about because it is directly connected to the film series, the new TV series on Sci-Fi Channel, Chucky. It is directly connected to the films.
Okay.
Not the new remake.
The original set of films.
Yeah, this is the original set of films all the way from...
With him and what's her name getting married.
Yeah, it's through all of those, not just the original movie like a lot of them do.
But them, like they got married and had a kid.
Yeah, it's connected in the Seed of Chucky and Cult of Chucky.
So all that exists.
It does. Okay. And the show is created by the original creator of the first film.
I like when that happens because then there is some continuity to the story.
So basically the new story is about this kid who had lost his mom. He's obsessed with like dolls, but not like collecting dolls like thing. He makes statues and sculptures and stuff. So like a lot of baby arms and heads, and it's almost serial killer like, but he's a sweet kid. You know what I mean? It's just the way he's this artistic weird kid. Yeah. You know. And his dad doesn't understand his crap. And his dad's an alcoholic now from losing the mom. Oh. The mom was like the one that understood the kids.
And
now they have
together.
beef.
Yeah.
And Devin Sawa plays the dad. Okay. But he also has a twin brother who they got it together. But they're like those rich people. Who's kicking Vader? Stop, man. And so anyway, he's at an estate sale,
Uh-huh.
and he finds a Chucky doll.
Oh.
Or not a Chucky doll. It's a good guy doll.
This is where it all goes
He buys
wrong.
it, brings it home. Well, then you find out this is the actual Chucky. So then it becomes about a whole and it's basically using this platform as a storyline to deal with, loss, family trauma, but bullying, sexuality, because he's trying to figure out, everybody keeps calling him gay. Then you start to realize, okay, he might actually be, and he's trying to figure out these feelings. He doesn't really know his place. He's weird. His cousin is a jerk and dates this bully girl. And he's got to deal with both of them and his family life. And of course, Chucky always feels the fuel. And they don't use like CGI for the most part. It's a little animatronic Chucky.
That's pretty cool.
The original Brad Dourif does the voice for Chucky. Nice. Came back and did it. And even Brad Dourif's daughter, who she came into, I think, in Cult of Chucky. She plays the lady in the wheelchair that dealt with Chucky. She's in it as the school teacher too. Oh, cool. So it's father-daughter involvement. And from the trailers that they've shown, one of the bigger ones, without spoiling, it looks like some people from the original movies maybe popping in at some point. Nice. I've only seen the first few episodes, but it's awesome. It works. There's some good kills. Even though it's on Sci-Fi Channel,
I was going to ask, what is like rated?
They're dropping F-bombs.
Okay.
There was a lady that essentially the kill was she fell face first into the open dishwasher that just happened to be knives all sitting up.
Nice.
So her whole face is impaled.
Guys, you never put knives sitting up. You put them down in the little slots.
Vader, Jesus Christ, he's kicking me. Vader.
He's sleeping. Hey, don't be mean.
Well, I can't. Normally, Vader has nightmares, and you normally got to rub his leg, and he comes down. But he's like kicking the crap out of me.
I'm rubbing his leg.
Where's the other dog?
I think she went out there to go to sleep.
Uh-oh. All right. Hopefully. Anyway, Chucky's available now on Sci-Fi.
All the doors are closed. Well, see, now you asked her, and there she is.
She's in the bathroom. Sci-Fi Channel. There's also a new Day of the Dead series. I believe that's also on Sci-Fi Channel. And I think Amazon has I Know What You Did Last Summer series.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things that are now coming back as TV series, which I'm excited to explore those.
Yeah, I get a little tired of the same stuff. I don't know. I haven't watched Day of the Dead yet. I think the Chucky one most excited me because it was directly connected and it was kind of an extension doing its own thing. But hey, don't bother him. He's sleeping. Mm-hmm. So anyway, but check it out if you want to. If you don't want to, then don't.
There you go.
I love it.
All right, next. We're getting to it.
We only got two more?
Ooh, yes.
All right, so this one we saw together.
Guys,
a long time ago.
I don't even know. I feel like we saw this movie like a month ago.
We did.
And, man.
We watched it, and then when we watched it, I didn't realize it was still a while before it came out, and then they moved the movie further
and then we watched it, and I had no idea what we were watching, and I know you told me, but this often happens. I don't pay attention, and in a way, I'm kind of glad. I don't like to know too much about movies. I just want to see maybe one trailer at the max two, because then after that, I feel like they give away stuff, and I don't like that. Yeah. I want to go into it without knowing anything, because that works for me. So that's why when we see a lot of these superhero movies and I'm not familiar with the characters, it works for me.
Well, and I usually shield you from something I know is a spoiler to it. But
I just don't want to know.
What sucks is you can tell when you watch a lot of these movies, too, that when they filmed it, those scenes were meant to be secret. You know, when something's unveiled and you're suddenly like,
what?
You can tell they shot you that way, but like a lot of times you see in trailer, you already know.
Yeah, I hate that. That's why I don't like trailers.
I also sadly understand why they have to do that, because
I know you have to get people in.
Are too stupid or too babies to go and see. They're like, we have to tell you that Spider-Man's going to show up, so you'll see it. If not, they may not watch it. And then they're like, oh, why'd you tell us? But then they don't tell you, and you're like, well, I don't know. I don't care if he's not going to be there.
That's the whole thing. So, anyways, we sit down to watch this movie, and I know you told me about it.
What's it called?
It's called Mass. MASS.
It's got a dual play on the top name.
Y'all, this movie's heavy.
It is.
It's heavy. So basically, these people reunite at a church. So it could be for a mass. But basically, they set up a meeting room in the church, and it's these two sets of parents gather to discuss something that's happened with their children.
A tragedy.
And it's it's a talkie. That's all it is.
It could have easily been a stage production.
Is it I want to say
it's
it
not.
Is a play.
I don't think it is.
It needs to be, because it's basically four people sitting around a table just having a conversation.
Yeah.
I need to go look that up, but
It's not, because I can tell you who wrote it.
It should be a play.
Which is probably going to surprise you when you find out who
Oh
wrote it.
my gosh. Okay, let me go look. Anyhow, y'all, it's heavy. It is so, because I don't want to give anything away, but I think we have to tell you what happened.
Well, no, I think what we need to do is, the way we'll just have to discuss it is, it's a variety of emotions that people deal with. You're dealing with, like, and it's the initial part of it's kind of uncomfortable when it starts
because we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, you're at a church. These people, it's sold very much like, it almost could be a documentary at first. Like, you're just watching these people set up for something at church. They're discussing, do you have enough snacks and coffee and this, and then the I don't know if she was a social worker or a lawyer or whatever she was. She comes in, makes sure everything's okay, or do we need to take these things down? Is it too sensitive? Then, but all that's like, I don't really, there's no music. It's kind of,
yeah, it's just very.
And then before people come in, it's very uncomfortable because you can tell there's tension between them. They sit down, and then it becomes a case of one couple wants answers, the other couple wants to defend. And we're not at fault. And yes, you are. And then it starts unfolding, and it's interesting how it's essentially giving you two sides of a story that we never hear about in these kind of tragedies.
Mm-hmm.
And don't always think about what this group of people may had to go through, because they're not the ones, they're considered the bad guys.
Correct.
And then you realize, it wasn't them that did anything.
Correct.
And you realize the tragedy they go through on their own. So it's interesting, and you get some mixed emotions. You get anger between the couples themselves. But if anything, I can tell you that it's a room full of brilliant performances.
That is the thing. Like, there doesn't need to be any big action or movement or whatever. It's just them sitting in what they're sitting in. So there's loss, there's sadness, there's anger, there's betrayal, there's confusion, there's that whole thing of unknowing and uncertainty, and then feeling bad and remorseful, even though you didn't really do anything. But did you do anything? So it's like one of those, like, what did I do? What did I not do? Right or wrong? Yeah. And everyone's performance is just here. And that's it. And that's all you need.
And there's a couple of them that are weird, like they don't even have, like, Martha Plimpton, who is not somebody I would have expected in a movie like this, from Goonies and a bunch of other stuff like that. She's excellent in it, but she has a moment where she gets up and walks away and sits in the room. And she's one of the characters you would have expected to be more emotional, and she seems to be more shut off.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's either already accepted it or she refuses to accept it. She's just let anger take over.
Yeah. So here the thing just says, aftermath of a violent tragedy that affects the lives of two couples in very different ways.
Yeah.
But it affects everyone. So this is one of those things when a tragedy occurs, it does affect everyone differently. And I think it's interesting because throughout this, we see how everyone's processing loss. Like the one lady, what's her name? Ann Dowd, who many of you may have recognized most recently from Handmaid's Tale. In this one, she's the mom that's like, well, I need to show you this picture. I need to show you this picture. Like, she feels the compulsion to share about her kids and show you these pictures and humanize them. And on the other side, the other mom who you'd was saying, yeah, she's like so shut off just from herself.
And she's even saying I think she has a line of some sort of like, stop trying to make me forgive you.
Yeah.
Or make me feel sorry for you.
Yeah. And she's shut off. She doesn't want to know pictures. She won't do anything. But then you realize they have other children and family as well.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, okay, this is just these four people, but how's that affecting the rest of their family with what's been going on?
Yeah, they dig into that a little bit.
And their own marriages and relationships, because you can tell one couple's still together and one couple's not now. Yeah. Because of this. Yeah. And which is typical, I think, for after a big tragic thing that happens. But man, you
got Malfoy's dad, Jason Isaacs.
Yes.
Who's in it. And then the other guy, I always forget the other guy's name. Is it
Reed?
Reed Kearney?
Reed
Bernie. Reed Bernie.
Man, and he's the one that seems most well-adjusted, but so outside of it because they're not together. So he seems very.
He also seems like
outside.
He's going to make an excuse, and he is like, I'm not at fault. I did nothing wrong. I'm perfect. he's like very businessman like. It's like he's almost like he's a lawyer.
And that's what Martha, whoever, is like, man, why are you like acting this way? Don't you care?
Yeah.
But I think that's his way of processing what's happened.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm telling you, it's dealing with so many things and so many different layers, and you don't know how you would react when
and I think it's one of those movies that it's a hard watch, especially if you've been through any kind of loss, especially this kind of loss, and there's a lot of people that have. That's going to make it harder to deal with, but also relatable. But I also think it's one of those movies that's almost. I mean, I think it's a brilliant movie. It's just it's like you're notorious for not liking movies like this because it's too real.
Yes.
And you like the escapism. You don't want your real life.
Yeah, that's why I watch movies for escapism.
She comes out. And I always know if it's a movie like this, and she says something like, "I don't know how to feel about this movie." I mean, she's irritated because it took her too deep into the real world, and she didn't want to be there.
I really did.
She wanted to see a flying monkeys do something.
Yeah. No, but this one got me. This one it's still like we did see it like a month ago. I feel like, but I'm still like, man.
I would be surprised if there's nothing about this movie that's nominated for something.
Some sort of performance or writing or.
So what's funny about this is, let me tell you who directed it.
Yes, yes.
It's a little person. I'm going to tell you the name. See if you remember him. A young man named Fran Kranz.
Fran Kranz?
Yes.
What's Fran Kranz?
Go look him up. I wanted to see him. F-R-A-N.
Fran Kranz.
You're going to be shocked when you see who it is.
I know who this is, don't I?
Yes, you do.
This guy?
Yep.
The funny kid?
Yep. From he was also in what was that? What was that stupid show?
He was in my show.
He did Cabin in the Woods, but he
was in my The Dollhouse.
Yeah.
That guy?
He wrote and directed it.
Wow, good for you. It's so good.
I remember watching it. I saw it was him. I was like, I've known this since we finished watching the movie because I went to write all the information about it. I went, are you kidding? I almost told you. I'm like, no, I'm going to wait till the show to tell you.
Good, because he was always the awkward, nerdy, cool, but like kind of funny kid.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. No, this movie is just so deep. It's a talkie. It's emotional. Yeah, and I read some comments and they're like, don't watch the trailer, just watch it. Yes,
it is one that the trailer doesn't. I've seen the trailer. It doesn't really spoil a lot, but it is one you should just go in.
Just watch it. Just
be prepared because
I totally cried at one point.
See, I didn't find it. I can see how people do, but I didn't find it as emotionally punch in the face like I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
but it is.
There's only one moment where Ann Dowd is like, he slapped me once, and I was like, what?
And that came out of left field.
Yes, it's like towards the end, they're already kind of wrapping up. And it's like they come back and sit down again because this whole time she's been like, no, nothing. And then suddenly she's like, he slapped me once. And that's what got me. And like, I have chills right now because I'm like, oh my God. But again, you can't be blamed for someone else's actions, or can you? That's the whole point of this thing.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I'm getting into this again. I can't.
All right, let's move on. It is available now.
Brilliant. It's brilliant, but it's heavy. And it might be hard to watch.
It's available now in theaters.
I'm just letting you know.
You can find it. It's probably not a mass release.
But it's
you can kind of figure out what they might have had to go through if you read the name and think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on. We have one more movie?
I'm trying to make sure the review went. There we go.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, we have one more to talk about.
The last one, sadly, she didn't get to watch this with me. We were hoping you could see it, but she didn't get to.
This weekend was just cray.
Which is a movie that we happen to be wearing T-shirts for because our buddy Raymond was passing them out at the show.
Thank you.
So we got us hooked up. The movie Antlers.
Antlers.
Which is another one of those movies that I kept seeing a bunch of crap about. This movie's been being promoted since 2019.
Wow.
And it was one of those that I kept seeing stuff where I'm like, eh. And I didn't see the trailer. I just kept seeing imagery.
Oh, that trailer.
And so...
Espíritus Oscuros.
Too much?
That's the Spanish title. And it says, it's coming to get you. It says that in Espanol.
So this is one of those movies that... I think it's going to hit everybody differently. Like, I really dug it, but it was one of those when I finished it, I came out and I had to sit with it. I knew I liked it, but how much did I like it?
Mm.
Was it just okay? Was it really, really good? And by the time I sat down and finally wrote the review, I really, really liked it. is sad with me. Another friend of mine saw it over the weekend. He was like, it was okay. I think I was expecting more,
Mm.
but I can see it. The movie is it's essentially follows. It's like a little town in Oregon, and it's a teacher and a brother that live together, and they've dealt with some issues, but they realize there's a student that's got a secret that's very dangerous. And in the trailer, you'll see. I'm not going to tell you. So if you watch the trailer, it kind of tells you which. Have no fear. I was telling her that's not a spoiler.
I saw something and
it seems like a spoiler, but it's not.
It seems like this little boy dealing with loss.
Yeah, but
But he also has a secret.
He is, but he's not in the way you may think.
Mm.
He's dealing with something way more jacked up. But at the same time, the whole movie is kind of encompassed around. It's dealing with the legend of the Wendigo.
Wendigo.
So
if you're the other one.
Yeah, so it's got that Indian lore.
Native American,
excuse me, lore, which I would have probably preferred to see this because there's not enough of that in there. Mm-hmm. And Graham Greene's in the movie. He's kind of the voice for that. He kind of tells the history of that.
Yes.
But it's such a small part of this, and that
does it have something to do with the spirit? Because why is the name in Spanish Dark Spirits?
Yeah, because it's usually something about like it's a possession kind of thing, but of an animal creature, you know. Or unless you're talking about
that's what I'm telling you. Sometimes I like the Spanish.
Unless you're talking about Alpha Flight from Marvel, and then it's just a big guy that turns into a.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
There's the Wendigo, and then there's Sasquatch.
Sasquatch.
Wendigo was a villain, a big white creature that came out. Anyway, but this movie is not only is it dealing with a creature, it's also dealing with loss, as you did say, but not from the people you think. It's dealing with bullying. It's dealing
bullying. That's mean.
Consequences, trust. There's a lot of elements that's there. It is kind of a depressing movie.
That's what I was going to say.
It's very dark and drab.
This little boy makes me feel sad.
Yeah, it's very
already.
dark and drab.
So that color tone, like it's
grayish.
Always raining.
It's always raining. It's gray tones.
We're in Oregon or something.
It's either dingy light out. Yeah, you're in Oregon. Dingy light out or darkness. And it's either like a lot of people are just dirty in the movie that you have to deal with. If they're not dirty, they might be covered in blood or being impaled.
Wow.
So it has some very violent moments, but there's a slow build to it. And I think that's where it's going to lose some people. It
takes too long.
Slow. It's not so much it takes a long time to get to anything. Stuff happens right off the gate. The first of this movie, something happens. But there's that slow build of the different characters dealing with things. There's some elements dealing with stuff that's like, okay, we're not really playing up on that. You know, it's just necessary, but it is because the teacher has been dealing with something, and so it's kind of making her not only try to help and figure out what's going on with this student because she cares about him as a teacher, but she understands loss and she's concerned for this kid's well-being. And this kid is dealing with something that not only no human should be dealing with, but also dealing with things somebody his age shouldn't be dealing with either.
Correct.
So I love this movie. It's produced by Guillermo del Toro and David S. Goyer.
Are there creatures?
There are creatures, or a creature, the Wendigo.
Does it look practical, or does it look?
It looks like almost all practical effects. There's a couple of things that aren't practical.
How is this kid in this movie?
He's excellent.
Because you never know about child.
The kid is so creepy and awesome. And the kid's not a bad guy. I'll tell you that up front. He's not a bad guy. And he's not doing anything per se wrong. But he's so distraught by what's going on and keeping his secret, but he's also the bully, introverted kid. And he's just kind of, he spends a lot of the movie just kind of like this.
Aww.
You know, but the guy that directed the movie, which is crazy, is Scott Cooper. You may or may not remember what's the movie, but Scott Cooper's, some of his biggest movies have been Crazy Heart, Black Mass with Johnny Depp, Out of the Furnace with Christian Bale. They weren't horror films.
Right.
So this is kind of a twist into this world. I'm not saying he's never done horror films. I don't remember. But I really dug this movie. I think it's creepy. I think it's, like I said, depressing and dark.
How is Felicity?
She's good. She's the main teacher. Yeah, she's the main teacher. Something like that. And Jesse Plemons, who's always awesome. Is it Jesse?
Yeah. Jesse.
Who's Mr. Kirsten Dunst.
Yeah.
He's always awesome. They play the brother and sister.
It's fun. If you want to see more movies like this, check out Lamb.
Right.
It's funny.
So it's I really dug this movie, but
Okay,
it is
I
one
think
that I
I'll
can.
like it.
It is one that I
hope.
will say that I could see people coming out of it, like my friend who just thought it was okay. You know, it depends on how you connect with it, but the slowness. It's not a terrifying movie, even though it kind of like the cool poster and the trailer make it, I think, more scary than it actually is.
I'm gonna go look up this book. It
But
says it's based on,
and they do something with the ending that they could do more of them.
Oh,
Which made me even more excited.
huh?
So
It says it's
Antlers
based on
is
the
available
book.
now in theaters.
I'm gonna go find the book. Okay, cool.
I guess that's it then, isn't it?
That's it. That was enough.
So
It was
we
a
talk about
lot.
what's coming out on the Blu-ray then?
Yes.
It's not a very big week. This week, Paw Patrol the movie's coming up. I think they're sending us a copy of that, so you're gonna
I'm gonna have to watch it.
Pig and Nicolas Cage is getting the Blu-ray.
You guys, this is the most unexpected good movie.
It is.
Never would have thought that at all.
The Kung Fu The Complete Season 1 is coming out. Avoid that at all costs.
Wow.
There's a few other things that are random.
Where are we going? We need to get
What
into
you got?
November. Hold on, I'm not ready.
How are you not ready? You're not ready for nothing today, man.
I know. I'm having a rough time. I'm so congested.
That has nothing to do with being ready for our show.
It
Stop throwing
does.
your health at me.
It's not loading.
You better hurry up and come up with something.
Well. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Today. Jeez.
I want to go this way. I like looking at it the other way.
Well, we don't have time for you to look at it the other way.
Okay, fine. Oh, here it goes. Okay, so coming out to the old Netflix. I'm not going to go in that order. Oh, sorry. Okay, what's today? So this week, coming out on Tuesday, actually, on HBO Max, we have something called Sons of Monarch.
Son of a bitch.
This looks to be a Mexican-American story of a family in New York, so I'm all in. There you go. Next, on Netflix, here we go. The Harder They Fall.
I've been excited for this one.
This is Idris Elba. I don't know. I don't need to know anything else.
This is that trailer I showed you with the black western.
Oh, he's the cowboy guy?
Yeah.
I'm in. Netflix. Wednesday. Random day of the week. Okay, then coming out Friday. Thank goodness. I'm ready to talk about this. Coming out nationwide, The Eternals. This is the latest installment in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yes. Okay, coming to Apple TV Plus. I'm also excited about this. The new Tom Hanks movie called Finch, where he's making that little robot. Yeah. And the robot's talking to him. Prime Video, The Electrical Life of Louis Wayne.
I think it's Wayne, yeah.
Wayne.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Benedict Cumberbatch, Claire Floyd, which I love her too, so I'm all in.
Isn't this on Amazon?
It says Prime, yes.
Oh, one shot I can't wait for.
We're not on that though. These are limited release.
Go back and look at it and see why I'm excited for it.
Scott Adkins. Okay.
But so I think it's also Ryan Phillippe.
Okay, coming out also to Netflix on Friday, a movie called Love Hard. It's got Nina Dobrev. It's a little love movie. I'm going to watch it because what else am I going to do? Also coming out to Netflix, something called A Cop Movie. Experiment in documentary and narrative storytelling. Talking about the Mexican police, their controversial system, and the crisis plaguing the justice system. So it's an interesting documentary, narrative, interesting thing. So that might be actually pretty cool. All right, that's all this week.
We still got some giveaways happening.
We do. Let's talk about those giveaways.
Some of them are wrapping up, but I have a couple of new ones. The dog is, well, never mind. I was going to say, there's a bug walking into the room. And that bug, it's getting away.
Okay, here we go.
Sabine was eating it.
She likes to chase bugs like the cat used to do.
She bites them and then she throws them back down.
Okay, tell us.
Anyway, so you got the movie The Emperor's Sword to give away. God of War 2. You do not need to see God of War 1. Copy of The Suicide Squad, James Gunn Epic Edition to the DC Universe. The 4K of A Clockwork Orange, which I have something funny to tell you about this in a minute.
Great.
I'll tell you before we leave. A copy of The Stand, the updated miniseries, Stephen King miniseries, that I believe was on Amazon or Hulu, one of those two. I think it was Hulu. And the 4K of Shawshank Redemption.
Why is it not coming in? We're shutting down.
Did we lose it?
Well, nope. We made it to the end. That's okay.
Are we still on?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We just left
All
that
right.
screen.
What's funny, really quick, is my daughter the other day, she saw that I had a new copy of Clockwork Orange. She goes, "Oh, I love this movie." I'm like, when have you seen a Clockwork Orange? You know, when she's an adult, so
With us?
she could have watched it. No, because I'm like, I don't remember ever showing you this movie.
No, we didn't.
Don't get me wrong, I have showed her things probably when she shouldn't have watched them. I'm not, but she's 26 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so she can watch whatever she wants.
She can watch whatever.
No, she said somebody at school showed it. One of the teachers, I think in high school, showed that movie. Like I don't remember what the class was, but she's like, we saw it at high school. And I'm like, that is not a movie to watch at school. She goes, oh yeah, we're all aware. And they told us not to tell anybody.
Some graphic rape scenes.
Yeah, so she was all.
Wow, I mean, it's interesting in the storytelling aspect of society and the brainwashing and how the government and police were trying to control people, but probably not appropriate at that age. Anyways, okay, it is October 31st.
Oh yes,
All Hallows Eve, last day of the month. Good old Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
What is your favorite scary movie series?
Franchise.
Franchise.
I always go to Saw because I love the Saw movies, but they're not really scary. But they are violent.
They're mysteries.
They fall in the world of the torture porn genre.
I know. We have problems. We like that stuff.
I love those movies.
Does that mean there's something wrong with us?
No. No, what else are you say? But if we're going towards like the slasher kind of thing, is that what you're wanting?
It doesn't matter. Anything. You can pick Saw if you want it to be Saw.
I mean, that's my go-to. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love some Michael Myers and Freddy Krueger and Jason and Chucky's and I love all of them. Puppet Master. Some of them are horrible. I love them all. But
Pinhead.
Yep, Hellraisers. Hell yeah. I mean, I'm in for every one of them. There's some horrible additions to every single one of those, and I still love every one of them. Horrible additions of any of those characters to me are still better than a lot of other crap.
Right.
But if I'm gonna go with, if I have to pick one of the slashers, because I know you're gonna end up picking the slasher genre. I'm probably more partial to the Friday the 13th franchise, the Jason franchise. I love all the Halloweens and the Freddy's, but
sorry, guys.
I think I just
sorry.
Why? I just said I'm partial to him.
Okay, but sorry to Freddy.
Yeah, he's on your side.
He's on my side too.
So what is yours?
You're not going to pick Michael Myers?
Huh?
You're not picking Michael Myers?
I just said I picked Friday the 13th.
Okay, sorry. Just making sure. Okay.
You just apologize to the people I picked.
I like Freddy. I'm a
do.
Freddy fan.
You just like Dream Warriors.
I do, but the first few, I was younger and they were scary, legit. And then they got a little funny, and then they got a little bit dark on me. And then the new version, I think, with Rorschach.
Yeah.
What's his name? He's got a 3-name name.
I know.
Haley Smith Osment.
Jackie Earl Haley.
There you go.
Not Haley Joel Osment.
I love those. I love Freddy. And I like Freddy Comes Back.
But that is not your choice.
But I would pick Scream.
Yes, you're a massive Scream fan.
I love Scream. I need to watch them all again. They have the new 4K release, and there is a new movie coming to continue the series.
Yep, Scream 5.
I'm so excited.
Although they're only calling it Scream again.
Okay, well, we know it's 5. Yeah. We know better.
You never finished watching the series, did you? The TV show?
I did not. So
I think they did 3 seasons.
I think I watched season 2.
No, that was The Purge. We watched season 1 together.
Oh, I watched season 1 and then never finished it.
Yeah, I think I watched half of season 2 and then I never saw season 3.
Okay, I'm gonna go back and watch them. Anyways, I really enjoyed that. If I was to pick anything else outside of that, I don't know if I'd pick Freddy. I think I would go with like the Ginger Snaps little series because those are pretty good.
Yeah, I like. Yeah, if we're going by just werewolves or something, yeah, Ginger Snaps is up there.
Werewolves are good.
Dog Soldiers might be the best one.
Well, I'm not into that.
Anyway.
All right, that's all.
Thank
you so much for watching today's show. We did good. We kept it right about an hour. Last week's show was so long.
We had a lot to talk about.
I know.
We missed this week too.
I know, and we had special guests on, and it was a whole big ordeal. Thank you so much, everyone who came out to AllCon to see us. Hope you enjoy your free prizes. Please like, share, tell everyone you know. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the YouTube.
And also today was a very sad day because it's not really related to movies or anything, but I want to give a shout out to Great Grandmaster Pat Burleson, who passed away. For those that don't know him in the martial arts world, he is, you may not know this, but he was the, he was technically the founder of American Karate. He was also the first U.S. karate champion. But he passed away today. And so, rest in peace, sir. We'll be back next Sunday for an all-new episode of Hollywood Matrimony Live and whatever else might come in between.
We don't know. See you soon.